That's probably the easiest site to do because that's all flat and made because the portable set.
Right. That's exactly where they were before, so we're just gonna put them back.
You can
Right.
actually almost pop those.
Essentially, you could do that at Forbes also, where the Forbes portables were.
But Forbes portables were elevated.
On the other side.
Forbes are elevated
No, I'm
at
just saying.
the gym.
Right.
Yeah.
Yeah.
But where we're trying to put them, it would be a one-level thing, you know, where the existing kindergartens are. We're
Because
hoping.
it is an issue, that, you know, like you brought up last week, to have the kindergarten at the ground level. You can't have it elevated, excuse me, which does escalate the cost, because then you need a dedicated exit from that classroom down to grade, then the next classroom has to have a dedicated exit. So that increases your footprint. But it's doable, and just not cost effective.
So to answer Danielle's question, we do physically have the space at all 5 locations to do it.
We physically have the space, it would have to all be approved, I would assume, through planning and zoning first, though. I mean, we have to go through them to, you know, show them basically, we're renovating the building, we still have to do the whole process. Every school is gonna have to go before, you know, planning and zoning, inland wetlands, the building committee, the building department, all that stuff. So I would think there'd be a question on aesthetics, you know, to be sure that, you know, we're far away enough from curbs, and the fire department would have to have a say in it, the police department is gonna have a say in it for security reasons. If we're on the nose of a corner or something, you know, we can't be that close to the road and that type of stuff. So there's a lot of, there's a lot of work that's involved here trying to, I can't just say, yes, I have that space. Yeah, I've got space, but is it legal to put it there? No, I don't know that. I can't say that yet. Was that all right? I
Yeah.
just,
It was a very good roundabout no answer.
the best no answer I could give you. The best no answer I could give you.
I got space.
I got space. It's like that commercial.
There's your brass tacks for next week. We got space, but not really space.
And you said education, you know, the construction's going on.
Yeah, well, we were talking, Andrew's question, and you actually had said it was a good question, was what is the educational impact of, if you take a look at the Vogel-Wetmore School, where the classrooms are going to be completely isolated from the building and up by the gym. What's the impact on those kindergartners and how they have to interact in the building? And then the same if you look at Forbes, where they're just extending it out, or Southwest. What is the disruption to the running of that building by adding these? And then during construction, what would be the disruption?
Well, I'm not as concerned about the construction phase, I'm talking more in terms of the long term.
Well, I would say the first one is the long term, you know,
Right,
because these
I mean-
kids are way over here, how does that impact?
But it seems like this kindergarten concept is a standalone concept no matter where you do it. It seems like kindergarten just, if you did it at each school, it still would be separate. They're segregated to their own infrastructure.
But they're all together. Yeah.
The kids are all together, but I mean, they don't
Segregated
impact
from the rest of the
the first, second, third, fourth graders. They're isolated. Kindergarten is isolated much more than the rest of a school building, meaning they're not walking through the hallways all day with regular fourth, fifth graders and stuff.
Well, they would be, because they would be walking through the hallways to go to lunch, to go to gym, to go to music. They'd be there all day.
So a kindergarten kid eats with a fifth grader?
No, but as a class, they would be going to, they might be eating with first graders.
Okay.
Yeah. And the other thing too is you will not have, by adding 2 or 3 classrooms, 3 touring court, you won't necessarily be putting them by your current kindergarten classrooms. So they'll not only be, if they're an add-on, you know, I'm just looking, at Forbes, they'll be close to the other kindergarten rooms.
Vogel-Wetmore's your greatest example. They're as far away from any other classrooms you can get.
Right.
But if you have a courtyard, it goes-
Yeah, but that courtyard has a room underneath it.
it has-
Isn't there the cave underneath that?
oh, the-
Front area?
Where are we?
Vogel.
Well, there's a tunnel there.
There's a tunnel that goes-
There is a tunnel there.
I went to school there.
Yeah, we used to go between the 2 buildings.
Yeah, there is a tunnel in there, yes.
Yep.
It's not safe.
The other thing too, Torrenford would be the
Lauren and I
same way.
went to school a little while ago.
For a lot.
Yeah.
So the the conclusion is, of what I understand is, no matter what option you do, there is no perfect solution of any of the, any design, no matter how you do it, is never going to satisfy all the needs and wants of the educational community in Torrington.
Unless we did option 3 for $73 million.
But even that doesn't, because people don't want to be done.
Right, that's what I'm
Somebody-
saying, that you're never going to.
There's gonna be
set-
somebody on
Right,
that.
Right.
Right, I think at this point, getting the information for 1 and 2 more detailed so that we can take a look at it is really gonna be the way to go.
And I think that gives us the best. 3, we can keep them from chasing 3,
Right.
because 3's just not enough.
Done.
All right. Thank you, gentlemen.
Okay, thank you.
Just,
Thank you.
I got one question for you. Okay. Option 1 and 2. Now, if East School falls off, we still need to, I don't know, as a facility, we still need to look at that, because it's starting, there's many things that are starting to fail at East School.
No, but in options 1 and 2, you're renovating East School.
Okay, okay, I just wanted to be sure that,
You had that in your
okay,
option.
all right, okay.
Just
All right, that
real
was
quick.
the plan.
For those options, when we're talking about duration, especially in particular the option 1, since we're doing a smaller spot at each location,
Yep.
minus East School, obviously, can you guys put together a little bit of a time estimate? I know it's far out on how long with those smaller projects you might be in there disrupting or not disrupting.
Yeah, I think we could probably put something
Still,
in there.
right, it's about,
Well, that's what I'm thinking. I mean, if we can get the majority of it during the summer months, you know, to Cheryl's point, you don't have to worry about power going out, that kind of stuff. I know obviously it's gonna take more than 3 months,
Sure.
I imagine, but.
Okay.
all right.
Yeah,
But
even with the
we
small
can-
projects,
yeah,
right.
we can come up
But
with.
you'll save the summer months for your cut into the existing building. That's when you do your cutting when there's no kids. You build the building off the outside, and you can do everything you can in it, and then as soon as class gets out, you chop a hole in the wall, and that's when you do your connection.
Yeah, I'll need as much information as possible. I can build helicopters, I don't know about those.
But sure.
That's in the budget. You'll see it coming up.
Could put a
Helicopters?
Yeah, we need a
All
help.
right, good.
a helipad or something.
Yeah. So Dave can get.
Thank you, gentlemen.
Project.
From one building to the next, I'll need a helipad.
Okay, legal opinion process. There was a request a few meetings ago, can't even tell you how many, sometime in the fall, late fall, I believe, for the board to come up with a process for legal opinions. Who has the authority, who has the time, and what process do they go through? And it was initiated by Mr. Nargi. It's just open for discussion, we don't have a process currently. I think we should put together kind of a basic direction and then send a policy committee to set a policy of how, that's why you don't sit next to me, of how we're gonna go forward. You know, currently, it all funnels through the board chair, but there was a question as to whether the board chair can directly contact legal to get an opinion without having board approval. Personally, if I have to get board approval every time we need to get a question, we're gonna get nowhere, but that was the question that was brought up. So, if we have any suggestions, it was your idea, Andrew. If you wanna start with what you would like to see as a process, and then we can spend 15 minutes or so hammering this around, and maybe give the policy committee a direction.
Okay, my two thoughts were, one, the majority of legal opinions, I would, and again, how we differentiate when chair should just be able to basically, out of necessity, need to talk to the board's attorney without the board's approval. I think we should establish some type of ground rules for that concept. And then the other concept that was always my concern was trying to get more of that opinion from the question that the chair would present to the to the board's attorney. That opinion needs to somehow be memorialized and given directly from the board's attorney to the board members. I understand Mr. Chubb tries to do the best job he can. I think he does most of the time a good job what he's doing as far as relaying that information, but it's still not the same as putting the board's attorney on the spot. We're paying him a lot of money anyway. I know they say that if they actually have to put something in writing, it's gonna cost a lot more money. In my opinion, it's worth it to get them to put, because we shouldn't be frivolous on what questions we're asking them anyway. So if they're of an important nature, get them to memorialize them. They become part of our record from their mouth to us. And I think it'll be useful for all the board members to actually see what the legal opinions are. And it stays as a baseline of legal opinions that the board will be able to work with as you continue to serve on this board over the next several years. It's all good stuff. You should know as much as you can as board members. So those are my
To elaborate on your second part of that, the memorializing of the legal opinions, there's two ways they can do it. They can do it just in an email, which they said would, probably be, $100 to $125 for them to fire that out. And then there's the official legal opinion, which could run into the thousands by the time they pull all the statute in and they write a nice big 10-page letter to us, which we've gotten on several
I'm not
topics.
looking for a brief.
So, I'm saying that there's the two different ways they do it. They either memorialize it as a legal opinion, or they just give an email response. So when you're framing this, that's just, it's important to know the difference between the two. Anyone have any other, want to add? Yes, being attorney.
I think that the process we have in place seems to be serving us well. It's rather informal, and I think, I can't speak to other chairs, but I know our current chairman, that if there's ever been an issue that's big enough or controversial enough, I feel that we have gotten to vote as a board as to whether or not we want a formal legal opinion. So I don't see any need to change that. I'm not in favor of adding expense. Even if it's in an email, I think you should have the option to informally discuss with the attorney quickly what the issue is, and not have to, in addition to that, pay $125 just for the sake of having a piece of paper. To go in his chair, and implicit in that is trust of that position. So voting in the chair, we have to trust that the chair is relaying the information as he should be, or she should be.
Understand this correctly? The attorney is charging you more to put it in writing?
It's, if we're on the phone with them, they're billing you by the hour.
Yeah.
So while they're talking to you on the phone, they go over the whole process, and then their time to actually memorialize it and type it and send it to you is additional billing hours. The report was if we went with an informal response, our bills would go up by about 125%. It would be about a 25% increase to our current bills. If we went with a formal, we'd be between $250 and $275.
So a lawyer is offering an opinion, but he's only offering it to you verbally. You have to pay extra to get in.
Well, if you want them to take the time to write it, you have to pay for the time to write it. But, while you're on the phone, I mean, the minute
I
you,
mean, for somebody who's worked for lawyers for 35 years, that's,
when the minute we call them, that clock starts. And
no,
we hang up,
trust me, I
it
had to
ends.
keep track of my time. My
Right.
time got built out by the.
And then
minutes
while
too.
he's sitting there either dictating it and having somebody type it or whatever, that time to produce the document gets billed as much as the telephone call.
Have we ever had a problem with not having something in writing? Have they ever tried to walk away from something denying that they ever told us to do it?
No. No, this is just a, informing of the board kind of thing, so that as communications happen between legal and, originally Andrew had asked for between the superintendent or the chair, two legal should be memorialized so the whole board knows those conversations.
And that would be the advantage to us, that we would then know all of your contacts with
there is one other option to saving money. It's just ask them the question, hang up the phone, and have them respond in writing. You know, I mean, why have them regurgitate, billing it twice to say the same thing? You know, right? This is the question. 5 minutes.
Email it to him, he doesn't even have to use
I
the
do
phone.
that with emails. I do email them, and then he emails me responses, which have been shared. Yeah.
And more than my conversations with an attorney is how human resources needs to use an attorney. Mr. Campolino, and that's dealing all with personnel, and does that remain confidential?
Well, certain things definitely, if it's a medical issue, obviously we wouldn't publicize that. If it's a disciplinary or an evaluative issue, that would not be shared. There are certain things that can and can't be shared. If it's a general conversation about labor law, that could be shared.
But you wouldn't use a name when you were contacting the lawyers, would you? You would say, we have a teacher who, right?
Well, it depends where you get to what point, but obviously you have the attorney-client privilege. So, I mean, yeah, I could use a name.
But why would you use a name? What difference would it make to the lawyer what the person's name is?
Usually doesn't. But just for ease of saying, that situation with the guy who, I mean, just sometimes the name comes out. But generally speaking, you would say, a teacher at X school, we have this certain issue we need to take care of. But that still wouldn't be something that we would then write down necessarily. But, I mean, it depends on the situation.
Most of the legal opinions end up in our minutes anyway, because they get brought to the board or to the committee.
Those that can't be shared. I mean, there's special
Those
ed.
that wouldn't be able to be memorialized anyway.
Right, special ed things, that those, they can't be used. So, as a board, do we want to send this to policy? Do we want to leave it where it is? Do we want to discuss it further? I think this has been kicking on items for upcoming agendas for a little while, and it's here.
So I would like to see at least go to policy and let them bang away at these issues and see if there's some resolution.
It would be good to have guidance, even if it's very, very informal as to how the process works for future boards. That would be really short guidance.
Could you not do a little call up to other schools and see if they have a policy somewhere?
There are policies through the Cape manual that cover it. Sometimes it's not always good to have a policy.
I've never been a policy I didn't like.
So do we want to, as a group, John, you want to push it to policy?
Oh, yeah, we'll talk about this in policy.
Yeah.
There's nothing better.
All right. You're welcome.
I look forward to it. Thank you so much.
Okay. Tech grant update.
Just want you to know that money has come through, approved by the state, so we are getting our $700 and some odd $1,000. There was some question last week, last time, that we were out, we were waiting to have it signed off, and they did. So rest assured, we'll continue our work with developing some firewalls and Wi-Fi upgrade and switches and everything else that we're going to need, wiring drops, and what's ever left over, more computers. But it will be upgrade to our infrastructure, as it was written.
Process for hiring tutors.
Okay, in your packet, you'll find the process. We use tutors in multiple ways across the district. We have tutors who work with our online program, and we have tutors who work as part of our ESL program. And what happens there is the Human Resources conducts the hiring process, as we do for all employees, and there's a posting request. Human Resources posts the position, applications are collected and reviewed, The supervisor conducts interviews and selects a candidate. The candidate's name is forwarded to Human Resources. An intake interview is scheduled and conducted, and a background check and fingerprints are completed before a person is hired. So it's the same process as we would with a classroom teacher. For our tutors at Midget Avenue, again, a posting request is received. Human Resources posts the position. Applications are collected and reviewed on an as-needed basis. The lead teacher tutor conducts interviews and selects a candidate appropriate for a particular student's needs. The candidate's name is discussed with superintendent's office, background check and fingerprints are completed. I just have a note there that with the Midget Academy tutors, the above process is only used on occasion since the majority of teacher tutors are retired Torrington Public School teachers with current certification. These teachers are hired per diem with no benefits and not guaranteed a specific number of hours or days since it depends on the individual student needs or for length of time the student will be attending the Midget Academy prior to transitioning back to their home school. Human Resource Director writes all letters of recruitment and non-continuance. The Midget Academy tutors are hired based solely on the needs of the program and the individual student on any given day.
Chris?
When you say current certification, is it just that they're a certified teacher or subject area specific?
Depends if it's a secondary person, there's certification in the content area. And it's a certified, we really prefer to have certified teachers working with all students because this is an alternative education program.
So
Right now, I could not be a tutor in our tutoring program at Midget Avenue because I have an elementary certification.
So for,
And most, majority of our students are secondary.
is the tutor, I'm just trying to figure out how it works. Is the tutor then one-on-one with the student? For example, a student is expelled and goes to Midget.
Mhm.
Their tutor is one-on-one for all subjects?
No, because we have, we do multiple platforms. We have students that are expelled who are online for partial, and you could have 3 to 5 students online at any one time, and there's a tutor in the room to give them, guidance, or if they have a question. If a student is, and during the day, we have teachers who we're math teachers, science teachers, English teachers, foreign language teachers, Latin teachers, who, because we try to schedule the students and what they're taking and doing with the background of the tutor who's there. There's always more than one tutor there because there's more than 5 students there at any one time. But this,
Could be wrong, Cheryl, but my recollection was when this first got brought up that the opinion from administration was that the person did need to be subject certified? Am I wrong about that?
no, we need people who are subject certified because students are earning courses for credit.
When you say we, the school district or the state says you need to have a certified subject matter teacher?
The state always, as you heard tonight, they want anyone who's employed and serving in a teaching capacity to be certified. And we got our flying colors that we do that. With the tutoring piece, because we are offering an alternative site for a student's education, you still need, can't have an English teacher supporting, they can be helping with math if a student is getting that math credit online. But if the student is taking calculus, we need a teacher who has the credentials in mathematics to teach that calculus class.
To be a tutor, you do not have to be a certified teacher. The only time a tutor has to be a certified teacher is if the tutor is developing the lesson plan. If a student is expelled from the high school and the science department didn't send down a lesson plan, and that student comes into Midgeon Avenue, sorry, go ahead. But if that student comes into Midgeon Avenue, the tutor that's in there, if they are a certified science teacher, can write a lesson plan for the day, and that student, and that's legitimate. But if you're a non-certified teacher, you cannot, all you would be able to do is say, I don't have a lesson plan for you, Johnny, you have to go home.
So it's our preference to have that, it's not.
When Midgeon Avenue went to all certified teachers, was we had given, as a board, when it actually came out of school improvement, when we were doing the online learning program. And we talked about tutors in the online learning room. And we said that we didn't just want us to pluck somebody off the street, pop them in there. We wanted a teacher in there that could actually answer the questions and help the student with the subject areas. So we had kind of given the administration a directive that we wanted certified teachers to be the tutors. It got expanded because down at Midgeon Avenue, a lot of the expelled kids are doing online learning. So Midgeon Avenue had taken it upon themselves to use certified teachers in those subject areas so that, well, one, we had said for online learning, we wanted a certified teacher. As a board, we said that when we passed it. And down in Midgeon, I happened to be in there the other day, and there was 2 science teachers. It was kind of like walking into the Hall of Fame. I mean, I saw every
Teacher you ever had.
yeah, teachers that, and Eleanor, I think, had a couple of them as well. But, you know, and when I walked in, I was like, oh,
I
wow.
graduated with a couple of them.
Yeah. I sat there and I went, wow, I had like every one of these teachers when I was in high school. You know,
Who's the lead teacher tutor?
Adla Kiwan.
So she does all the interviews and selects the candidate. What, is it then, who would make the decision not, to non-renew? Does she have?
It's not a non-renewal. Because they,
Non-renewal,
okay.
non-continuance, I'm sorry, you're saying non-continuance.
Me.
And Mr. Campbell writes the letter. How many, Mr.
That's
Campbell,
would be in any situation like that.
how many have you written?
Since I've started in July, 3. And I've also written recruitment letters. I've written more recruitment letters. I've sent out, I wrote a recruitment letter and we sent it out to recent retirees. We got some good candidates from that.
So if someone is non-continued, do they remain on that list?
Yeah, I mean, they're on a list and, you know, we maintain a list and we have a pool. And
So
you know,
then
based
that-
on the needs of the program, we will, you know, consult and hire back as needed, or we will not continue as needed.
but from a business standpoint, something that was done, if a para is following a child, that the district knows that child is leaving the district, that para is laid off and given a layoff slip so that they can collect. And the same goes for a tutor. If a tutor's in a program that the program's no longer there, because they're only hourly temporary employees. So you lay that person off so that if that person has if they have any ability to collect unemployment or any other means, you lay them off so that they have that right. And then, you know, you can always bring them back. But if a tutor's working with certain students and those students graduate, leave, move on, program gets closed, whatever it is, you would, just from a business standpoint, lay those people off to give them the right to collect whatever benefits they can get.
There's
And
just
then-
been some question about the process, and I'm very
Right.
ignorant of to what the process
No.
is, so.
Well, I think-
We firmed it up.
Right, and I also think what's important to remember, and Mr. Traub touched on it, these are hourly at-will employees of the district. So they're not unionized.
There's no due process.
They don't get benefit. Right, I mean, not that we would let someone go without just cause, just because that's just a fairness issue, but I think it's just important to note that they are brought in as Mr. Traub said, as temporary hourly employees that work at, you know, the behest of the district, based on the needs of the program.
So what would be the reason for a non-continuance? Typical reasons, or for what reasons have you written this?
Well, I mean, typical reason may be, as Mr. Traub touched on, a student moves on, there isn't a need for a specific type of certification. I think there's sort of a number of needs along the way. I mean, another one would be, and I haven't been involved with this but it might be a disciplinary issue, or if a tutor's not performing up to, the quality of work to help the student would be another reason.
Who would decide that and on what basis?
Superintendent?
And on what basis?
Say if they say if it was expected that a student would finish the coursework by a certain time, and student doesn't, and if they're working together one-on-one on a daily basis over a number of hours.
And therefore, every student can finish every assignment in exactly the time allotted.
Should be able to do it even better because you're working, or but because they're working on a one-to-one, if it is in that situation.
But don't the teachers who assign the work assign specific tasks and goals? And do kids always finish those tasks and goals on time?
If the students down there are working in more than one way, some are working, if we know it's short-term, then we do not put them online, and they do, or if they just come down, we start them off with the tasks from the classroom teachers. So you could be getting up to 7 different courses of work coming down, depending, especially at the high school level, depending upon what courses they're working on and what credits they have to earn in that semester. So then when they go to both online and then maybe one-on-one tutoring, then yes,
Doesn't
we
really answer
sit.
my question, but I don't want to waltz on this too long. Do you talk to a tutor who may be running behind the schedule that you think he should be on?
We talk to both the tutors and the teachers, and the students. We've been trying to have them set up for 2 weeks, and due to weather, haven't gotten to them, but because we have many seniors, we have to show them what they've completed. I mean, they can check that themselves online every day, but we just like to have the counselor now come down and meet with them and say, here you are, and this is how much time you have left, and you start to have to, work beyond the time that you're at Legion Avenue.
So a counselor would be involved in saying this work should have been done already too?
Yeah.
Okay. And does the tutor ever talk to the counselor, or is that just something that
When
you?
when they come down.
Who matches the tutors with the 2 Ts, so to speak?
Mrs. Kiwan.
Mrs. Keeman. Okay, she's the only one then who matches those people and evaluates their work.
Sometimes they'll ask me, because Lisa Schimmels will call the parents. We give them some clerical help to the program, but we take a look at the course load that the students have and who would be the best.
Okay, so nobody but you or Mrs. Schimmels would match people or evaluate
We
or
talk about it.
supervise or?
It's pretty much with Mrs. Kiwan, but she'll ask me sometimes, or if I stop down there.
Okay, thank you.
But we've tried to improve the process for the students that are there to make sure that they do get the credits they need.
That one's next.
My question's on certification. Does a teacher come, is there a certification run out,
Yes.
like during?
Yeah, you have to renew it.
So if they're not current with the certification, that could also be a means where the tutor could be let go. But they could get their certification and then,
You have to keep renewing it. They can renew it through the Human Resources office. And the thing is, if you let your certification lapse to renew it, you have to renew it under current certification requirements.
You start from square one. If your certification lapses, you start from square one based on, as Mrs. Klopper said, the current, whatever the current criteria are
praxis.
today. So it's not like if you got your certification 20 years ago, it's based on that. You have to go and take the classes and pass the various tests today.
And is being recertified yearly?
It's not yearly. There's three different levels. When you first get out of college, or you first get certified, you get your initial, and you have 3 years, and you have to complete the team process, which is the mentoring process. And once you do that, you get a provisional. The provisional certification lasts for 8 years, in which time you have to get 40 months, or you have to get 30 months of education experience, and you have 8 years to complete your master's. Then you get a professional, and then you renew the professional. I think it's every 5 years.
So these tutors that are at Midget Avenue are professional?
Yes.
Yes.
Okay,
Yeah, they
so-
would, because they're a lot of retirees, so,
So
they would.
would you know when their certification is?
Yes, because we have their certification on file. It's the teacher's responsibility to renew their own certification, but we send out a reminder
Okay.
a few months in advance, several months in advance, just to say, hey, according to our files, your certification's due in July. And, then there is paperwork that they gather from the State Department of Ed website, the Certification Bureau, that comes to us. We have to sign off on some. Some goes to Cheryl, she has to sign off that they're employed, et cetera. So, yes.
But all of that can be done without a local agency working with you. The state will tell you if your certification is due to expire, and you then just renew it online.
That's right.
So it's a very easy process.
So then, what happens in our district is then the state notifies it and we notify them?
Right, we do it as a
Okay.
courtesy. Then, a letter will come out of the office, out of HR, Ruth sends out a memo, and it just says, this is just a reminder that your certification is due. As long as it's usually a few months out. But they would have also known from the state as well. Jamie?
Just two clarifications, because this seems to be close to beating a dead horse here. These are at-will employees, correct?
Right.
And the state does not have a law that says that we have to hire teachers to be tutors. That is a preference that we have, correct?
It's only a
Okay,
law if the
that's-
tutor is writing
Again.
lessons.
Right, less.
Again, I'm simply asking,
Okay.
okay. So those were my only two questions. Thank
The
you.
issues are fairness, I think, really, and how people should be treated, and how we, as a school system and as a Board of Education, want to treat the people that we have working with us.
It is also a matter of the fact that it's an at-will employee.
Well, that's true. The law allows you to do things to them that you wouldn't necessarily want to do ethically or morally. Sure.
Well, that's true in every corporate business.
Yes, I'm sure.
It is, I can tell you that for a fact.
Mayor Carpenter.
It's actually off topic, just out of curiosity.
Here?
It's still on tutoring, but when the teachers send the lessons down and the tutor delivers the instruction and the lesson, does the work go back to the teacher for grading? Okay, so in your decision to terminate a tutor, you would also consult with that teacher to determine whether or not those lessons are being done on a timely basis in a manner in which the child is being successful.
I can't answer that.
The teacher is not
because,
consulted, is what you're saying.
And sometimes they have, because the tutors have gone up to pick up work, and they talk with the teacher then.
No, but I mean, in your decision to terminate a tutor, you don't consult with the teacher to determine whether or not the teacher's perception of that tutor's work is.
No.
And I try to keep up with what the board is doing. Midget Academy, is that a school setting? And I know that's not a legal school. Are we in a situation where we have students being taught in a building that isn't a legal school?
Well, we were teaching them in the library, we were teaching them at the Register Citizen, we were teaching them, if need be, at Dunkin' Donuts. And so now we have them being taught in a school building.
Thank you.
I want to follow up on what Mr. Kisco said. To me, it's of great concern that, yes, I'm not here looking to micromanage what the people are doing over there, but we as a board would like to know that everyone who gets a paycheck, be it for an hour or a day or a week, is treated in a professional manner. Everyone's treated in a non-discriminatory manner. Everyone's treated knowing what the parameters are that they're taking, that 1 hour employment, that 1 day employment. And when you say that all our teachers are certified, but then you say, we prefer to have all our teachers certified, I'm not positive you're articulating correct.
I have made every effort that every tutor that is working in that building right now with Torrington Public School students is a certified teacher.
And in the subject matter.
The ones, they're all, if they're secondary teachers, they are certified in science, in math, in English, in social studies, in a foreign language, yes.
Okay, so you stand behind what you're saying here.
Yes.
Okay.
Can I?
I mean, I don't know these things, and I hear things, and you're saying one thing, and then at times you're not quite articulate with what you're actually saying.
One of the difficulties comes is that we had tutors who were elementary certified, okay? I have asked them to please share their transcript with me so that I can see if they have enough credits to be certified in a content area. They have not come forward to share that. As I said, I myself, I have elementary education certification, pre-K through 8. That does not mean that I have a content area that I am certified in, such as science, English, social studies, or mathematics. I could not teach in our tutoring program by the standards that I'm upholding because I do not have that content area certification. And because the majority of students, and I think 99% of them, are all on the secondary level, they should have teachers who do have the content area knowledge in a specific area because they are earning courses for credit.
And I agree with you, except that what you're saying is fine. I'm just not positive the implementation, from what I understand, is what you're actually saying. And when you say certified, what does that actually mean to be certified in content area? Meaning, to get a certification in content area, doesn't that come from the state, or?
Yes, and you have to have.
And all these people have certificate, not from your observation of they're certified, but all.
It'll say right on their certification, science. Second, no.
Yeah, that's correct. I mean, when they come to us, you have a piece of paper that comes from, and I'm sure Mr. Kisco knows from his days in the classroom, you get a piece of paper that says what your content area certification is. For example, I'm certified music K-12, so on my certification, when I was teaching, it said music K-12. So if somebody came to us and they were certified, high school secondary science, it would say secondary science, or 8 through 12 science, like that. So it is a very specific piece of paper with very detailed information on it, so we don't have to guess. And that does come from the state, you're absolutely right.
To carry it through, why don't we move this to policy? We do not have a policy for hiring tutors. If we memorialize this as a policy, then we as a board can enforce it. Right now, this is strictly administration's protocol, but we have no authority over this protocol because it's not one of our policies.
And I think that's
You're not going to want to sit next to me.
That's great that you're doing that, but also the superintendent should be realistic that is feasible to always have certified content area teachers to do our tutoring. And I mean, I'm amazed that you're saying this is, because I hear other things, I know that in the past that has not been the case, so.
You're right, and I've tried to clean up the tutoring program since I came on board.
And-
So we'll make it a policy and then we can enforce it.
But I also know sometimes it's difficult depending on the number of expulsions.
Then
And-
you're
and the
making an
children
exception,
that-
that's what I'm
It's
trying.
not an exception, it's just that sometimes how they have to make sure that all of the kids are taught, the
Right.
ones that I expel, they have to move things around.
I have no problem with how this is done, except that, going back to Mr. Kisco, I just don't want anyone who works for the school district to feel that they are unaware of what the standards are of their employment, and they shouldn't feel that in any way that they are not, they do not know exactly why they are being hired or not being hired. And I think once you get that policy in place, I think that will alleviate our discussion, that's all.
But I hope we understand that I hope we're not being limited to just the hiring, because we're also talking about the treatment and evaluation and things like that, right? This is my understanding of what's been forwarded to policy.
Yep.
Okay.
It'll become a full policy. Grading procedure.
Just included in, when there was the question of changing grades, we had every teacher in the district trained once again in how to do power teacher and grade book. And it's a draft here, but this is, from the PowerPoint in the manual from Power School. And I just wanted you to see that what people go through for how to take attendance, the categories of their subject area, how to process it, how to put in assignments, how to improve the final grades. And this PD was held in every single building. How to finalize your grades, there's every component here.
All right. Meeting, not yet. Meeting posting requirements, we're gonna make, we have 15 minutes. All right. What we included here is the protocol that we go through for meeting posting and what is required to be posted and where it's required to be posted. So you'll see the different, there was just questions came up, mostly by the School Governance Council. And what are the requirements for the postings of that? So this is what we have. Okay?
And this is according to the State Board of Education, right?
This is from the Connecticut Freedom of Information website and Connecticut Public Act 10-111.
Yeah, but the School Governance Council, we consulted with the State Board, right, Charlie?
Right, I went right to Judy Carson, who's head of.
Okay.
Monthly board packets. Just thought it prudent that we have a discussion. When this board went paperless, we had a completely different board. We currently have 4 to 5 members that require paper copies at this point. We are not achieving the efficiency that we went to tablets for. It is in the budget to upgrade our tablets because they're at that age that we do our equipment replacement. So I sit and I ask, the original intent was to save approximately $30,000 by going paperless. We haven't been achieving that because we're still doing paper. I don't know if this board wants to continue with pads. Do they want to go back to just getting paper? But when we vote as a board to pick how we're going to get it, that's how we're going to get it. So if the board votes to get paper, we get paper. If the board votes to get electronic, everybody's responsible for getting it themselves. You just have to keep that in mind. But we have to think about it. We don't have to make a decision tonight. But I wanted everybody to start, it's a new board. When this was done 4 years ago, a lot of people around this table weren't here. So, for financial reasons and other reasons, we're at this question.
Is this an action item?
No. It could be made when if you wanted it to, but Mr. T-Bone has a question.
No, actually more of an original statement
Oh,
from
it's a
this.
statement.
I was on the board with yourself when these first came rolling out to us. And my first couple of board packages were delivered to me by a custodian and dropped off in my mailbox. Which would mean we'd be going back to paying a custodian or somebody to drive around to each one of our houses to drop off subcommittee packets and drop off board packages, which means that our packet dates also have to be changed on our sheets for when we think we'd have to get them. Because otherwise we'd walk into a meeting and instead of actually having read the board package, we'd have to read it when we get here. So I think there is a cost savings that these have provided.
They have provided a cost savings, we just haven't realized the full savings.
You may not realize the full savings, but I'm betting we're at least 50% of those cost savings, which means we're at least $15,000 a year to the good. And as the board has changed, I see more tablet devices sitting around this table than I did previously. A lot of the tablets before were off to the side with paper in front of people. Now I see tablets in front of people with paper off to the side. So I think they are achieving their goals. I just don't believe this was the correct device to do that.
Mr. Kisner.
And I'm going right to piggyback on that. I'm surrounded by paper at these meetings sometimes. It's my own paper. I don't grab a copy of the packets that are available. I do that because I'm old, and this is just the way I've done it forever. When the dinosaurs were around, this is the way we did it. But I will say, and this is the relationship to what Ann has just said, that this device is fine. It's a very sophisticated toy, but as far as dealing with the kinds of paper that we deal with, it really isn't much more than that. A lot of what we get originally started out as Excel or Word or PowerPoint documents, which because they come on this, aren't really very useful. But I understand that what we will be getting will be Windows-based tablets. Did I read that in the paper? That when we go, it'll be to some real computer? No, where you'll be able to deal with
All
those
the Apple
documents.
salesmen just fell over when you said that.
No, really, I mean, this is the same thing. Right here, these two are, this is a very old one, but they're the same thing. Whereas a real Windows-based tablet would be wonderfully useful, far more than that. I use this, I do, I get a lot out of it, but Windows would be great.
I think the vast majority of the money that we spend on paper, I would guess, is during budget season and dealing with that. None of that comes out on tablets, so I would question how much actual savings we're realizing due to the tablets. I bet you it isn't 50%, but I don't know. I don't know what it is, but I bet you it's nowhere close to that. And my preference, I like these, I grew up with tech, I like paper. I like paper, I like turn to page 64, and I turn to page 64, and if there's something, if there's an issue with it, I can note that. Pencil or a pen, I don't handwrite, and it's there permanently. And it doesn't fail, and it doesn't lose its charge and leave us with nothing and having to share with our board members, but
Or having 3 devices in front of you and I can't get on any of them, so I can't even get the packet.
I would much rather put these in the hands of students than I would, for me. I use it once a month.